Hi YouTube, how are you doing? I'm doing a little better today, not quite as sad. I forced myself to, remain in good spirits. I mean, I have to do that often, you know, but I don't know. You know what it's like if you know, or rather, if you know what it's like to have a lot of trauma in your life or physical things like accidents and different things, then you could probably relate. Um, but anyway, I am doing better. I'm listening to Professor Sam Vaknin. He's talking about why the young refuse to go grow up, um, adulting, and delayed adulthood. And he goes into like talking about the economy and how many uh, young people still, like 30%, still live at home with their parents, and how hard it is for these people to even buy a place to live, uh, and and what they do spend their money on because they can't afford that. And I don't know, for me still, I'd be doing like I did do is I couldn't afford the most expensive place, but I found a trailer. It had house windows. It had drywall in there instead of just the cheap walls, and it was insulated really well. And when you start small, and even with Doug and I, we got home equity loans to be able to um, work on our place and put money into our shop so we could work and that type of thing. So, um, and yeah, we did put money aside and save like $20 here, or, $10 even, once a week or whatever. That adds up, you know. But I granted, a lot more in my eyes, a lot more needs to be done to help the young people in the world today. Um, People see uh, nothing wrong with sending money to other countries so they can fight wars. And I'm not saying that these people that are being hurt in other countries shouldn't have that help. I'm saying the United Nations, those soldiers should be helping them. Our armed forces were created to protect our homeland as a part of homeland security, not for the force of whatever they think they are going into other countries. Like I say, that's what the UN is for. So I don't know, maybe some people are going to get that someday and realize that that's the truth of the situation. Um, even letting immigrants come in masses that could be helped at the border with tent cities and work and tiny houses. And there's plenty of land in this world. There's plenty of land. If you've ever driven any direction in the United States or into Canada or Mexico, you will clearly see that there's land all over that could be turned into housing communities, with tiny houses for people to purchase with contract for deed through the government. And yeah, they're perfectly capable of helping people. Of course, some people are going to be like, but I want that big house with the two bathrooms. Well, I lived in a tent. I was kind of happy when I didn't have a tent, and then I finally had one, and I was outdoors with my children on top of a mountain by a river. So a tiny house at that point would have been flipping cool. I mean, And I've been homeless many times, not due to my own doing, either to escape abuse or because I didn't get paid or I got screwed over in different ways. When I was a kid, yeah, I walked away from abuse. I was a homeless and foodless and that type of thing for too long. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. My point is I saw a post where a woman a little bit younger than me, I'm 66, so I'm thinking she's probably about 56. And she's talking about the Gen Zs and the Gen Xers and whatever, and um their lack of drive and their lack of ability to do things. Look at what is happening to these people. Come on now. I mean, granted, I don't want my adult sons around me because they're psychotic. One actually is schizophrenic with a neurological disease from um, excessive drug use, and the other one is also quite close to that type of situation, and they're not the type of men that should be around a woman of any kind. They're no, not even. So yeah, it's a little heartbreaking, but I can see that other people, that if your child isn't addicted and brutal, um, there's ways to help. That I mean, I can help my sons if they were even-minded, on an even keel. I can help them. I have land. I have the ability to do things for them, but I'm not going to. I can't. I can't put myself in dangerous situations anymore. I mean, if they come upon me, I'll gladly take it up and do something, and I'm capable, but I don't want to be put in those positions anymore. So I've had bones broken, I've had my jaw broke, I've had ribs broken. I mean, from brutalization from people. So a lot in my life, starting at a very, very tiny age. So yeah, I'm a fighter, but I don't want to have to be. I don't think women should have to be fighters, you know. So anyway, I'll get back to my topic here. I think that is what it is today, but my concern for the young people, um, that's really what I'm all about. It's disheartening to see mothers and grandmothers, probably fathers too, losing hope in these young people. Like I say, look at what is happening to them, you know. So we might have a little bit of noise. So if we do, I'll work through it like usual. Cheers, happy weekend. So I still say though, I mean, there's a lot of us that have, well, we go to this thrift store and buy our clothes. We don't worry about the top of the line things, when you're trying to put a little bit of money away. It still probably is a good idea to try and set a little bit aside. I know it's difficult. I mean, there's no doubt that the cost of living should be increased. I mean, they have no problem raising inflation on people and making it so they can't even afford to do the things they need to do. And I've walked to work many times in my life. I've um, bought vehicles that I had to work on myself before I could get to work. couldn't afford insurance, couldn't even afford cars, couldn't afford a home. I've been in all these types of situations. I remodeled a house on a lake property, and when I got through, it was beautiful. It burnt down to the ground, and I couldn't afford to buy the adjoining property, and the zoning had changed that I would have needed that other lot next door in order to rebuild. I couldn't do it. So, and I was young, you know. But I mean, yeah, there's times where you almost make it and you think you're going to be okay, and then something falls through and it doesn't work out like that. But yeah, like I say, we paid for this place 3 times over, and it was really hard to do. Like one time we were living on, and of course this was like, oh, 20 some years ago, but I had one job that was like $6 something an hour. And Doug was working, but he was also paying child support for his daughter. And he could not, he couldn't afford to even feed himself, let alone pay for this place. So without me at that time, we would have lost everything, So, yeah, people, it helps if you work together. Maybe that's an idea. Maybe people, if you're close enough with somebody, can purchase land together and build some kind of a like duplex or, um, like 4 tiny houses, 4 people get together and buy like a 1/4 acre of land, or it doesn't sound like much, but if you're not having to pay for rent, I mean, of course you're going to have property tax, and it will depend where you live how high that's going to be if you can afford that. But you know maybe this generation needs to band together a little more and use their minds a little more together like that. Kind of like um in the 60s with the farm, the commune that the hippies had. Now, there was some brain dead hippies, kind of like my mom's generation. My generation would have been the flower children of those, whatever you wanted to call them, the ones that would have been like fornicating out in public and all that weird stuff that my generation tried to, like, come on, we're not, we're animals, but we're sophisticated, aren't we? Okay. But anyway, getting back to the point, so there's some that actually stayed in, like, around Orange County, California, and there's others that went to, I do believe the farm is or was in Massachusetts. No, 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 no. I'm wrong. I'm mistaken. I'm thinking could be the Carolinas, but somewhere on the East Coast they had migrated to this farmland, and they were totally self-sufficient. They started putting out a publication called Mother Earth News. If you want to learn how to do anything, you can look it up online and ask Mother Earth News for anything. It'll tell you how to make a steam generator. It'll tell you how to bake bread, what to plant, how to build, um, draw a plumb line. It doesn't matter what. Um, I probably shouldn't say projectiles. It'll teach you, I mean, so much, everything, absolutely anything as far as like gardening, healthcare, um, chemistry, every anything you could possibly imagine. these geniuses have compiled in their magazine that used to be paper, but now it's actually online. And like Doug, for instance, has every magazine that Mother Earth put out before they went online. But yeah, you can look them up. They might be on YouTube. I know for certain they're either on Facebook or they're out there. It's just called Mother Earth News. You can't miss it. And all you gotta do is type in anything you want to know, and you'll be so surprised what you can find out. Mechanical, doesn't matter. Everything, everything. Sewing, like I say, it'd trip you out. Check it out. So you had these ones that remained, maybe they did a little too much psychedelics, and the other ones were more natural into being self-sufficient, not just high. They actually wanted to do things in their lives, and they did. Actually building motors that ran on um, steam-powered vehicles, a truck that runs on wood and water, you know. So these people were genius. But anyway, so there's possibilities that people can get together and buy land and do things together like that, because it has been done in the past. I mean, I wouldn't want to live in a commune. Kind of where I am, though. I'm lucky, yeah, the neighbors around me, we all have like pretty good chunks of land, and we're sort of like separate. But if the stuff hit the fan around here, oh yeah, we'd be helping each other, and it'd be a really dangerous area to come in for anybody at that point if things were like that. It'd be pretty bad. Most of our property is surrounded by water. You know, there's really, we can make it so, well, on our property there, unless you walk through the woods and a great big swamp, and or swim, there's I could well, there's only one way into our property. You know, we live in a meadow, um, in a valley with our own creek and pond, and we're pretty self-sufficient here if anything goes down. And if that were the case, um, I'm sure the neighbors would agree. We'd probably wipe out our road so it isn't accessible. You know, it's not a tar road, it's a low maintenance road. It's a dirt road. We knew the guy who actually built the road with his tractor through the woods. It's very beautiful. It's called Tunnel Road. Yeah, it's pretty. So, but yeah, so I mean, being self-sufficient, I think if these kids start thinking more community-minded, that might be the ticket. That might be the way to go. But I'm saying the government could way help these people by making land. I mean, selling land to China. I'd like to slap the piss out of whose ever stupid idea that was the first time it happened. And then actually selling buildings in our cities to these people that want us dead, you know? And we can't help the young people. We can help immigrants or illegals or whatever with 4,000 bucks and whatever. And I've seen it worse than that in my life. Um, uh, where like when you're working and you're only making like $3 an hour, and you see somebody come into your country and they can afford to buy a baby Lincoln, and you're washing your clothes in the laundromat, and you have your kids with you and you see them and their kids get out of a baby Lincoln and can afford to buy a really nice place and you can't, that's a little frustrating. I can't imagine what these young people are feeling inside watching all this happen, like money going to other countries for wars that are orchestrated by the Dark Cabal. There is not one war that wasn't pre-planned, probably at least a couple hundred years ago, if not more. That's what these families do. That's who they are. It's what it is. It's profiteering. That's it. So you've seen them, the same, very same people. It's like John Kim Jong Un was no more than what, about maybe 7 years ago. He was over here for a steak dinner. I mean, when are people going to wake up and realize, you know, it's the truth of what I'm saying? Putin's been in this country in the last decade. Don't people understand what I'm saying is absolutely true? Um, or like it was said back in the 70s that Nixon was the only president that could go to China. Yeah, because he was working with them closely. They loved him. They still, they're relatives. They are. So when you hear people say, well, we need to support these people and protect these people, I absolutely agree on the protection, but it does not need to come from the souls of the people in our country. It needs to come from the United Nations that is equipped to go into other countries for that protection. That's what they're there for. That's what they were made for. Yeah. So then I heard also um, Amin Hillman talking that the civils need to come back. Why? Why would it matter? There's the spirit of God in people that they don't listen to. What is some, or an oracle? What is some person telling people what to do? What's that going to change anything? They don't listen to the God in their heart as it is. Or like the muses that give the people the ability to create things. And why? They're not respected. If God were here right now, you wouldn't even talk to him. You'd ignore him. It would either be out of jealousy, ignorance, or whatever. But I can tell you from experience, having love in your heart, or being like a romantic person, or being highly intelligent, none of this matters to the average person. One way or another, you're probably not going to have any close friendships in your life because they aren't diving that deep. They don't care. We're in a world right now where people are too self-centered. They really don't connect with other people very well. Look at the dating scene. Wow, isn't that a scary sight for people? Ugh, it's horrible. At least from what I can tell. I mean, I don't know personally. Thank you, God. Whoa. But yeah, from what I can tell, these young people are really struggling. It's pretty bad. But yeah, I swear if God was sitting right in front of you, you wouldn't have the insight to even recognize that love, and that would be ignored. Can you imagine how lonely that would be to carry that type of spirit? And it's a big secret. Oh, well, what if somebody was resurrected? And that's what they wanted. They wanted to resurrect God so they would have that love and support. So God gets resurrected, but Nobody's talking to God because why? Because of some kind of secret? What are you going to gain out of that? Just thinking out loud here. I know it sounds a little way out there, but it's not as way out there as what you would think. So, yeah. But I mean, even all the talking in the world, or even things that I've done trying to contact my government to help little people that are adopted and in um, foster care type of situations, or what really fried me out is bisexual men adopting a little boy and taking him over to Israel. And these children aren't followed up on to see if they're okay at all. And I wrote to my legislator, and they didn't answer me. And being adopted, being abused, and then brought back to the orphanage, and then going into another family of abusiveness, um, I'm speaking firsthand that these people are not. And I worked with children a lot, and um, especially the emotionally disturbed adolescents I worked with. It's again heartbreaking. The stories I heard that these people went through. Wow. You know, even living with other kids in group home, or in the Catholic girls' school I was in, different things. Just the things these, well, my one friend killed herself. That's how horrible that was. Actually, her stepmother had lied to her father, and her mother had already died. Her dad remarried, but I met that woman, and I believe my friend, I called her Mickey, her name was Michelle, was telling me that this woman was telling her dad things that weren't true about her. I knew this girl. Her heart was so sweet. She didn't do or say anything to hurt anybody, and I know that's the truth. But once kids are in a system for any reason, and they're not looked after like they should be. But yeah, there's a lot going on in the world. But I don't believe in adoption. I believe kids should be left in orphanages, and have access to excellent education, and be taught uh, different things in life, so they can be productive human beings. So anyway, I think they should have their own schools and their own hospitals, and people that are care attendants and doctors and nurses, that and teachers, those type of things, that are devoted to those children, and only that. It's like when I worked at a sheriff's boys ranch, um, part of the school system I had worked for too, doing other things in the kitchen, janitorial, just, but the paraprofessional job that I held there. And then some of the girls from that school district would come over into the classroom, and I was the one that actually helped with them in the classroom, or for that counseling aspect, would take them out of the classroom, or help them with their work or whatever they needed, or just to kind of take them out of the classroom, to get them out of there for the time that they needed, because it's just like little people sitting still for like 8 hours a day, or however long they have to sit there. That's just so unnatural, and just it's horrible for them. That shouldn't be expected out of anybody ever. Just to sit there in a building for hours on end. That's crazy. That could be constructed differently too for those people, the little ones, you know. So, not just recess. They need a whole nother regime, more constructive things to do, you know. More gym time, more outside time, you know. If the kids aren't really athletically inclined, why not have like art type of stuff or music type of stuff, you know, for them to do instead? Don't force people to do things they dislike. Um, if you are in a school that has a pool, are you going to force somebody who's absolutely terrified of the water? Which I'm not, by the way. I was a junior lifeguard. But I mean, there's some people like Doug, for instance, is not good with water. I kind of like to take him out on it just because, but which is fun. I like that. I've done that a couple times. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, he had a life preserver on. Once was in a motorboat and another was in my canoe, so he was like safe. We weren't out on the ocean or anything. So maybe with more people kind of giving these younger people some ideas, maybe a little bit of help, or trying to bring it forth into our states and our local communities, some more ideas how we can actually help the youth instead of just complaining at them and putting them down. Look what the government's doing to everybody, everybody. I think it's time that we start banding together a little more for the young people and stop the um, degradation that I'm hearing towards a lot of them. If that, really, people, come on. Do these people really love them, or are they feeling superior because people are put in a position where they can't help themselves? I don't know really how they're feeling in their hearts, but I think if they dig down deep enough, they'll see it like I'm seeing it. We do know the government's effing us all over. There's no doubt that's what all of these worldwide governments, period. They want one world government, one world religion, and you living in a pod. What are we going to do to stop them from succeeding? Because right now they got a pretty strong foothold. They got a big foothold on people's hearts with their allegiance towards the soldiers, the heroes that have gone before us. Come on. We all have military family. I almost went in there twice, but I think it's time. I even took the test. I was ready to go. But I mean, twice. Things happened and I was saved from it, but um, I'm still a fighter. I'll fight. Like, if you're being hurt, I'll really jack somebody for hurting another person. There's no doubt. And I have, and I will. But I will not fight in another country. I wanted to go as a conscientious observer, and then I heard horror stories about that. But actually, it was my ex's fault I didn't go. I could not leave my 1-year-old son alone with that. So. Well, I'm going to get this uploaded. I do appreciate you joining me. Maybe you have some more ideas. Maybe we can put some ideas out into the ether and the atmosphere and with our words and our posts and our videos somehow. Maybe we can help uplift this younger generations below us, not below us, behind us. alongside of us trying to rise, you know. Um, Maybe we can help them a little more than we think we can. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? And what ideas might you have? And how would we approach that in our communities? So, just some thoughts for everybody. I have a small community. Like when I wrote an article in our local newspaper about the sex education that was being taught to my son in high school. That's what really got me fired up. But was some dumb idea on what she should say to my son and how she should be dressing when she was doing that. And this was an old scuzzbag bitch that was just inappropriate around children. So I wrote an article in my paper, and there weren't a lot of people that really liked me because of it. But oh well, so be it. But anyway, I think if we get more involved in our communities in any little way that we can do, and I did, I had like psychiatrists, psychologists, and teachers fired for not doing things the right way. So, yeah, things are possible. We can make a difference, but we have to try to do something, you know, and I am trying. So, any ideas will be welcome. Might spur on more ideas, and we actually might be able to make an impact and help people, like land in tiny houses, housing communities, and subsidies for young people to help them out, um, better pay, whatever, cheaper vehicles, free insurance. There's got to be some way we can help people out here, right? Instead of approving of wars that it's not necessary. We have the United Nations for that. Don't forget that, people. Okay. I love you all. I appreciate you joining me. Have a beautiful weekend. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA.